Hey guys, welcome to the Sports Days podcast with Greg and James. I'm the second part, and with me, as always, he's averaging a triple-double. It's Greg Cowan, everybody. What's happening, baby?
Dude, I have been phenomenal. I don't know about anybody else in this league, but I think I'm the best one so far by
You've been channeling
a long
Oscar
shot.
Robertson. It's
Dude,
amazing.
Oscar Robertson's got nothing on me. Let's be honest.
Yeah, other than, 12 inches of height and tons of athletic ability and a grumpy attitude.
What's height got to do with anything right now? I'm averaging a triple-double. I don't think height has anything to do with it. I'm playing with the big
man. We're seeing a renaissance of short guys in the NBA. So actually, yeah. I don't know what height has to do with anything.
Yeah, exactly. Height has nothing to do with it. Do you remember a guy named Muggsy Bogues and Nate Robinson? I think they were the top 500 rebounders in the league at some point.
I actually listened to a podcast one time with popular rapper Vince Staples, and he was asked about his thoughts on the NBA postseason. It was a couple years ago. And he says the Clippers were going to win everything because the tall team always wins. And I loved it.
That theory has been proved very wrong.
It's so wrong, but it was such an amazing, just like bold. And it was so bold and it was so, unapologetic. It was just like, yeah, of course, the tall team always wins.
Yeah, that's a major hot take.
Vince Staples, analyst extraordinaire. We have a lot to talk about today, Greg. We have a lot to get into.
Got a lot to get into.
All four major sports are still happening. We have basketball, football, baseball, and hockey, but we're not going to talk about hockey.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean college football is the number 4 sport.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares about hockey?
The World Series is still happening.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And the NFL is still happening. MLB is beating out the NFL in ratings. That's happening.
It should be. I mean, it's just way more exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And then Russell Westbrook is, throwing up 50 points in a triple level. But before we get into any of that, Greg, how are you, man? What's going on?
I'm pretty good, actually. Had a nice, good weekend. Went to the in-laws to celebrate my father-in-law's birthday. So he liked that. Some of his kids came and surprised him, so we didn't know that was happening. So it's always a good time when he can get surprised because they're criers. And so he definitely shed some tears when his daughter and son-in-law walked through the door from New Jersey. So good time celebrating with him. And besides that, just, keeping it casual, keeping it cash. Not too much. What about you?
Cash, man.
Yeah. My life's not that exciting right now.
Yeah, that was an amazing anecdote, Greg. I just want to go ahead and give you a round of applause because our listeners were jumping over themselves to hear that one.
What my weekend was. Yeah, I know. Riveting stuff lately in the Cowan household.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I went to a couple Halloween parties. I had had a nice little Halloween. Didn't dress up. I got to be totally honest with you. I did not dress up. I could not find a costume. I was a little late. I was a little late to the party. But when you go to a bar out in Boston, if you don't dress up, that's kind of totally fine. No one cares. Like if you go to a house party and you don't dress up for Halloween, that's a little weak, right? Yeah,
you don't dress up for a house party, you're a dick of some sort.
If you're just going to a random bar though, then who cares?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag when you go into a bar.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a lot of fun. Also, my girlfriend got me a Fitbit. Do you have one of these, Greg?
Which type do you have? I have the wristwatch one.
I think it's similar. It's the Charge 2. I don't know.
Yeah,
is that
okay? So that's the one that just came out, right?
Yeah, it's pretty new.
Oh, that's nice. Early gift. Or just,
well, this is for it was our anniversary. Yeah.
That's right. How was that?
It's been great, and I've been obsessed with this thing, man. Like, she's been challenging me to steps, like step challenges on this app.
We should become friends. Maybe you'll motivate me to use it more.
Maybe, man. I mean, you got to get up pretty early in the day to beat me in steps. I'm doing pretty well. I'm averaging like 15,000 a day.
Damn, you can compete with my mother-in-law.
Yeah, just because I'm not losing to my girlfriend in steps.
Yeah.
There's one thing in the world I'm not doing. It's losing to my girlfriend in steps.
No, not today, not any day, not tomorrow. Maybe that one day that you're hungover, but only that day.
Not even then, dude. I'll walk around. I'll go walk the donkeys, Not
even the one down the street. The one 2 streets away.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in Boston, there's one on every corner.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, Greg. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to get into. So enough with the banter. Today we're going to talk.
I'm so good at banter.
We are pretty good at banter. We're going to start today with football, as we always do. That's what the people want. So we're going to kind of recap last week, and we do that by breaking out an old favorite. An old favorite, one that we haven't
classic.
One we haven't used in a little while. Reach into the bag of tricks and break out most impressed, least impressed. I know that you've been clamoring for it, Twitter fans. Chill.
All the time. I get messages nonstop saying, when are you going to bring that back? Love that segment.
Yeah, exactly. So just relax. We're bringing it back. Old favorite. So for people, the newly initiated here, the sports stance, what most impressed, least impressed is we'll take a team, player, coach, unit, city, division, idea, philosophy, and we'll say which one was most impressive to us and which one was least impressive to us based on last week. So Greg, what are you most impressed by in the NFL last week?
Well, James, as you know, the NFL is not that impressive lately, so it's been kind of hard to figure out what's the most impressive because it's certainly not the ratings. But I'm going to give you what I think is the most impressive thing, even though number-wise, stat-wise, not that great, but more so just like the whole feeling behind it. I kind of felt good for this guy, even though most people hate him on the usual. I'm going to give most impressed to Jay Cutler. So,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm here for. I give bold, takes only. Hot sometimes, bold mostly. So I'm going with Cutler because, 1, he hasn't played in a few weeks. 2, Chicago hates him, especially his head coach, John Fox, who's made it clear that he wants nothing to do with him after the season. Yeah. And 3, basically Cutler said, you have no other choice. You have to play me. Hoyer's hurt. So Cutler came in against a 5-1 Vikings team. Wasn't perfect. He went 20 for 31, but put up 250 yards and a touchdown. No turnovers. Kept a pretty clean game for him. Gave the Bears a chance, and they pulled out the victory to take down the Vikings, put them to 5-2. Gave the Bears their second victory of the year. So you know what?
Especially against a really good defense too.
He looked pretty good against that defense, especially for not playing in a few weeks, having all that criticism against him. And so therefore, I figured he deserves to win. I figured I'd give him my most impressed, make him feel good about himself this week.
That's a good one. And, I think it's time to, really ask if the Vikings are for real here. I know that we all kind of jumped the gun when they went 5-0.
Are you doing jury's in, jury's out right now?
No. That's an old favorite that we're going to break out at some point.
I'd make sure.
But I do think it's time to ask if they're for real. They're 5-2. They were 5-0. And then we all kind of jumped the gun saying like, oh, they're one of the best teams in the entire league, blah blah blah. And I kindly remind everyone through a well-intentioned but very long and wordy rant and pretty angry about Sam Bradford. I realize that. Part of it, again, I still realize that part of it's the offensive line here for the Vikings. But Sam Bradford is Sam Bradford. He's not that good at football. That's the problem.
No, he's not at all.
So when you're sticking Sam Bradford behind an offensive line, I mean, he still even put up decent numbers yesterday. He went, 23 for 37, 228 yards and a touchdown. But it's just no explosive plays. I mean, at 23 completions, you should be up around 280, 300 yards, and the guy's like in the low 200s. There's just not a lot that he can do.
No, not at all.
Couldn't get anything going for a while. Didn't get their first touchdown until the second half there.
He's earned the nickname.
Yeah, he's just not a big playmaking quarterback. I mean, I think that he's almost like Alex Smith light in a way. It's like he's a game manager. Which isn't
good because Alex Smith is already pretty light on the passing and he can run. I'll give him that, but Bradford can't even do that.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, that's what that's kind of my view on the Vikings, but I think that Jay Cutler is a good one. My most impressed. I think that I would be remiss not to at least mention that Tom Brady looks like the platonic ideal of a quarterback right now. So I think that everyone's been freaking out about Tom Brady just because he dismantled the Bills. 4 touchdowns. He's completing 73% of his passes, Greg.
Yeah, it's impressive.
He's got 12 touchdowns and no interceptions. He's just the greatest of all time. I mean, it's tough to really argue this at that point. So I'm not going to pick Tom Brady, though, because everyone's talking about Tom Brady. It'd be too obvious if I picked Tom Brady, even though that Tom Brady was the most impressive player.
I love how every week You do juries in, juries out, and like least to most impressed, and somehow Brady's always somehow on like the positive side. Be like, I'm not going to talk about him.
I'm not going to talk about him, even though
about
he's a front runner for the MVP. He's the greatest of all time. He's the best looking player on the field at any given point. I'm not going to talk about him at all.
Okay.
What I am going to talk about is someone who also people should be sick of me talking about, and that's Dak Prescott, baby. Dak Prescott. Oh, we love it. We love it. Don't groan at me.
I'm groaning at you. That was rough for me to watch.
That was a great, great game. Down 10 points in the fourth quarter, Dak Prescott come back and beat the Eagles at home. The thing about Dak is that he hasn't faced a ton of adversity yet. Same thing with the entire Cowboys team. They're a good team, but they hadn't really been down in the game. And the one time they were down in the game, they lost that game. But they were down early. Going into halftime, they were down 13-10. And then the Eagles came right back out there and put it up to about 10 points in the fourth quarter. They scored 10 points in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys, and then won it in overtime. And good for Dak though. I mean, that's a tough fought game. That's a gritty, hard win against a good defense, a divisional opponent in prime time. All those things kind of add up to me being really impressed with this guy. I realized he had one really bad interception on the goal line.
He should have had another one. And
he probably should have had another one. But he also found a way to get Des Bryant involved. 4 receptions for 113 yards and a touchdown.
Finally found a connection with him.
And especially on the day that Ezekiel, even though he had 22 carries for 96 yards, he was not exactly lighting the world on fire like he normally does.
No, but
so I'm impressed with Dak, man.
Broken tackles, I'll tell you that.
That guy's tough to take down. People kind of just bounce off of him.
It's incredible how he got to the corner on some runs, and he was considered for my most impressed, but I just couldn't do it because I'm an Eagles fan.
I think that Jerry Jones must be pretty happy with himself with that pick. I think there's a real thing here, though. That's a gritty, emotional, come from behind win at home against a divisional opponent. This kind of furthers my case that you cannot put Tony Romo in right now.
Yeah, I think he might have stuck a fork in him in that last game.
Yeah, I just don't think that is something you can do at this point. At least you can't justify it to the guys in the locker room. You know what I mean?
No, you can't forget the guys in the locker room. How are you going to justify it to the fans and everybody being like, okay, we're 6-1 with this guy, but yet you want to put in Romo, who we don't know how he's going to be this season?
Yeah, and I think that when you see something special happening like this, I think you have to ride it.
Yeah, you got it. It's Dak magic.
Dak magic. I like that. Okay, Greg, least impressed. What do you got?
Least impressed this week. Had to think, almost went with the NFL ratings just in general, getting beat by the World Series Sunday night. But figured I should keep it actually on the field. I won't even attack the refs or the fact that there was another tie in the NFL this week. Just ridiculous. Again, field goal kickers don't know how to make kicks. But I'm going to go with a team that should have won and didn't, and I'm going to put it on the defense. Seattle's defense, the Legion of Boom. Least impressed.
Yeah.
25 points to the Saints. Saints now are only, potentially, a game to back in the NFC South, kind of making a little bit of noise there. But Legion of Boom just couldn't get it done. They had a chance to shut Breeze down in the fourth, and they couldn't. They let him come back, took that game, and that's a big loss for the Seahawks because, that's a little more space they could have put between them and the Cardinals, and they just didn't. So they're my least impressed because of that. Top defense should be keeping teams to the teens, but no, 25 points on them, more than given up by the Vikings. So they're the two defenses we keep looking at and comparing this year. And Legion of Boom was just a little bit worse.
That's a weird division right now. I mean, both Seattle is leading at a 4-2-1 record, and Arizona is on its heels with a 3-4-1 record. Los Angeles is 3-4-1. It's just a weird division. The NFC West used to be not even too long ago. The NFC West used to be like the premier division.
The NFC West is the NFC East of last year.
Yeah, that's a good call. So it's gonna be interesting to see here. That's a good least impressed though. My least impressed is the Lions.
Ooh,
I
okay.
think you got to take care of the Texans, man. I came in being really high on Matt Stafford, and I kind of was drinking the Kool-Aid, the media
Me too.
Kool-Aid. I'm gonna go ahead and
Guilty.
put my hand up and say that's on me. I was drinking the Kool-Aid there a little bit and saying, hey, um, I was really high on Stafford. And I think I still am. He had a decent game. It wasn't very explosive, but he threw for 240 yards and a touchdown. His completion percentage was not great. But what I'll say about this is that the Lions really had a chance here to kind of really insert themselves. They still have the chance. They're 500, but they had a chance to really insert themselves here into the conversation in the NFC North, especially with Minnesota faltering. They have a big game next week against Minnesota, in Minnesota, and Stafford's going to have the same kind of struggles that he might have had against the Texans defense. The Texans defense is really good, but I was interested to see what he did against a good defense.
Yeah.
Because the Lions really had not played a good defense except for the Eagles coming up into this game. So it's interesting what they'll see against the Vikings. This is gonna be a good test for him. But I am least impressed with the way that they kind of played. 13 points.
Not fantastic.
You got to do something better than score than you can't wait till the fourth quarter to score a touchdown. And still expect to win this league. It's pretty tough. But yeah, that's my least impressed.
Yeah, no, that's a good call, I think, especially because don't they have Justin Forsett in that running back, and I thought he was going to be like a big part of that running game, and
they do have Justin Forsett, yeah.
I don't know if he was hurt this past weekend or what, but he did not get a carry at all. So I found that a little odd.
Anything else you want to shout out in the game anything else you want to shout out in the weeks in this week's slate of games that stood out to you?
I mean, a few things that stuck out in general. The fact that the Chiefs blew out the Colts. I didn't expect that to kind of happen, especially with Nick Foles coming in for a few plays. Figured, he would just screw it up somehow. And then, some big wins this week. The Bengals and Redskins didn't win at all. I can't believe there's another tie. It's just emphasizing my jury's in that tie suck from last week. The Raiders.
Yeah, I was hungover after that Halloween party, eating brunch, watching that game, and I was like, I don't even want to watch this.
That game seemed like it also went forever.
Yeah, it was a long, long game. It basically went to the start of the. Obviously it was a tie, so it felt like it went forever. But it went to
the first quarter of the 1:00 games. It was nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
But other contender for most impressed definitely had to have been looked at was Derek Carr. Just phenomenal game against the Bucs. The Raiders are road warriors, and they are showing the NFL they're for real. At least offensively, their team is keeping them in everything. Derek Carr cementing himself as one of the top young rookie quarterbacks and future potential MVP of the league with how he's playing. 513 yards from 4 TDs. That's a good
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'll also say a little special shout out to the Denver defense. They picked off Phil Rivers 3 times in a win against the Chargers, 27-19 win against the Chargers. And Denver is a team that not a lot of people are talking about, I feel like.
No.
Everyone's freaking out about the Raiders, and everyone's freaking out about the Patriots, especially in the AFC. And I would not want to see the Broncos in a playoff series right now with the way that defense is playing.
Yeah, we got this week that those two face each other. Yeah, Denver versus Oakland. I guess we'll find out who's the legit one in the division. Great
game. And it's kind of a bummer for me, who is a big Chiefs believer, that there might be a chance that the Chiefs don't win this. Do you think that there could be 2 wild cards coming out of the AFC West there?
I could, just because of how the rest of the league is playing out. The AFC North right now, Steelers are 500 or just above 500, and that's the lead. We know the AFC East basically will have just the patch coming out because the Bills are regressing back down. They're 500. And then the AFC South definitely won't have a team make the wild card, but it could be interesting. My Titans pick could actually pan out for me.
Yeah, the Titans are looking better and better. That's going to be interesting to see here. All right, let's just get into next week then, Greg, because we're kind of already here.
Yeah.
We had you sent me over a couple games to pick this week, and remind me what they are.
The picks this week are Pitt versus Baltimore, Philly versus New York, Detroit, New York Giants, just so you know, clarification. Detroit versus Minnesota. Denver versus Oakland and Buffalo versus Seattle. So it's 4 divisional games and 1 non-divisional game.
That sounds awesome to me. Why don't we go ahead with our guest picks first? Why don't you go ahead and introduce them?
Yeah, so this week, didn't do my research, didn't contact anybody, but actually was contacted by somebody that apparently listens to us, so figured I'd give him a shot. His name's Sergeant Boomstick. Doesn't have a podcast or anything, but just likes the whole guest pick idea and wanted to give his chance. So said, sure, why not? I didn't do my job this week, so at least somebody else did it for me. So here's Sergeant Boomstick.
It is. All right, awesome, man.
Yeah, some bold picks. Browns over the Cowboys. Not sure how that one's going to pan out, but
yeah, he clearly has not been watching Dak.
Yeah, well, I mean, he talked about the fact that apparently he thinks Claiborne and the offensive lineman, I forget what he said, is going to be out. So maybe Jamie Collins going there helps the Browns take down and get their first win.
A little pass rush, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the early games then. Steelers at the Ravens. There's no line for this game. Is that because we don't know if Ben Roethlisberger's playing or not?
I guess so. I mean, that guy could play through like sitting on a bed of nails, I'm pretty sure. He just plays through pain.
I'm trying to figure out why there would be no line for this game. Well, anyway, Steelers at the Ravens. Steelers are 4-3. Ravens are 3-4. Divisional game. The Ravens are unimpressive. I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. I just do not care for the Ravens. I've never cared for the Ravens, and especially and it's not even like normally I would be happy about the Ravens' unimpressive season, but they're so boring that I just don't care.
Yeah. Jury's in on the Ravens after starting 3-0. Not elite.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Greg. So do you have the Steelers winning in Baltimore, or do you have the Ravens taking a divisional game at home?
I do. I got the Steelers winning in Baltimore. It doesn't matter if it's Landry Jones or Ben Roethlisberger as the quarterback. Overall, they're just better. Joe Flacco can, air it out with the best of them. But, I mean, they got no running game, basically. Their defense has been suspect all season. They're going against a Steelers team who's hungry for a win. They had last week off. So, therefore, they need that win after losing to the Patriots. And they're going to be division game. It's always going to be a close one. It's probably going to be like a 16-13 game with a fumble recovery to set up the game-winning field goal or something like that. It seems how it always goes with these two teams. But overall, Steelers are going to win. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and have to agree with you. I just can't see a situation where the Ravens win this game. Even without Ben Roethlisberger, like you said, I think that they're a more explosive team. They have better playmakers. The only thing that would give me pause would be the Joe Flacco to Mike Wallace connection, which has been doing wonders for my now resurgent fantasy team.
Yeah, look at you.
But outside of that, yeah, I know. Outside of that, though, I can't see them winning.
No. Can't see them winning many games from here on out.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Still in the 1 o'clock slate, we have Eagles at Giants. Eagles going to New Jersey. I guess Vegas is kind of down on the Eagles ever since they kind of have hit this little bit of a skid here because the Giants are favored by 2.5 points. Both teams are 4-3.
Not great.
The Giants are a sneaky 4-3 too. Like I guess I wouldn't totally have expected them. I have not been paying attention to the Giants. Another team I don't like. Wow, amazing.
Shock. I wonder why, as a Pats fan, you hate the Giants.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me wonder about that.
So, Greg, do you have Carson Wentz riding the ship and getting into New Jersey with a win, or do you have Eli and the G-Men beating up on the Eagles?
Yeah, so this is a hard pick for me because 2 weeks ago I went against the Eagles. They beat the Vikings, so I was like, fine, I guess I can pick the Eagles, and then they lose to the Cowboys. But I'm gonna be the homer pick again. I'm gonna go Eagles. There's just something about the Giants I don't trust in games of any sort, especially bigger games. So yeah, they got Eli. They have a good wide receiving core. Their running game is like nowhere to be found. Who knows who their running back is? If it's Jennings this week or another guy. I mean, Shane Vereen was their top running back, and basically it was because he could catch passes. They're a pass-heavy team. I think that pass rush of the Eagles is going to get to Eli a few times. It seems the past few years, Eagles have had the Giants' number, especially defensively. Getting a lot of sacks, doing a lot of damage, posting a few shutouts. I think Wentz takes his first trip to New York in stride and, throws a few touchdowns, hopefully 2 or more. They didn't make any trades at the deadline to get any wide receivers. Hopefully that doesn't bite them in the ass. But I'm going to go with the once wagon driving into New York and giving the Giants dysentery and beating them.
Wow, that got real weird.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when it's early morning, James.
I'm gonna go with the Giants, Greg.
Of course.
This just screams to me like some weird game that the Giants will just like somehow pull out of their ass. It'll be like a 17-16 game, and it'll be so ugly, and no one's gonna want to watch it. It'll just be a total slog. Yet somehow the Giants come out of it, and no one feels good about it. And then the Giants will be 5-3, and then challenging the Cowboys for the division. So that's kind of my prediction here. I don't want to be right there, but I think that's the way that this thing will go.
Well, I'm hoping your pick jinxes them.
Yeah, well, there you go. I've been doing pretty well. Actually, we did not recap last week, Greg.
No, we don't need to recap last week because
yeah, exactly. Let's before we keep going, Greg. What's the record?
James, you have surprisingly come back and taken over the lead for top games. You are now 20, 21 and 19-1, and I am 20-20-1 because I posted 5 straight bad picks last week, where you posted 4 good picks and only 1 bad. And then our guest picks are 17-10. So our guest picks doing pretty well so far this year, beating the crap out of us.
Yeah, well, I don't care about the guest pick. I care about beating you. And I told you that you were going to see a resurgence from me coming up here.
Yeah, and that I did.
Yeah, it's for real. Okay, so let's get back to it then. We have still in the early slate. We have Detroit versus the Vikings. The 4-4 Lions going on the road to the 5-2 Vikings in Minnesota. Minnesota's favored by 6 points in this game, Greg. Not quite a touchdown, but close to it. So, do you think that the Vikings, continue to kind of falter here against the Lions, or do you think they kind of right the ship and send that defense after against Matt Stafford and make me look like an idiot for calling him elite?
I think at this point the Vikings right the ship, at least for this week. I think they take down at home the Lions. Stafford will probably have issues with that defense. I mean, they're just relentless. I think after last week's losing to the Bears, I think we'll kind of jumpstart that defense again, because it's not a good look to lose to the Bears and Jay Cutler, as we mentioned before. So I'm going to go with the Vikings. Bradford doesn't have a great game, but he does enough to get the team by. Maybe that running game gets kind of started with Ronnie Hillman now in that backfield. And Stafford, I'm going to say, throws at least 2 picks.
I'm going to go with the Lions here, Greg. I'm so off the Vikings bandwagon, it's crazy. I wanted to be on it. A ton. But I'm off it. I think that Stafford's going to come in here and kind of make some things happen. I don't think that this is for real. I think the NFC North is going to get a little bit tighter, and the division's going to get more interesting. And I think that this is a big game. As you can mark this down as one of the games that will kind of start deciding the divisions here.
It's definitely going to be a decider of that division.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go with the Lions here, Greg. Okay, the next one that we have here is the next one you had me pick was the primetime game, 8:30 start, Broncos Raiders. This is the big one.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game.
This will be an exciting game. So the Broncos are going into Oakland, and they're favored by a point. Interesting here.
It is interesting.
So, Greg, Trevor Siemian and the Broncos defense going into Oakland, will Derek Carr pick them apart, or will he suffer the same fate as Phillip Rivers this last week?
Man, it's a tough one just because, one hand, Broncos defense is just incredible, but you got to assume that Derek Carr will figure out a way some way to at least put up some points against them. He's got 2 top receivers. Running game's been doing well. I'm going to give it to the Raiders. I think the black hole swallows up Simeon a little bit. He shows that, he's not a top tier quality quarterback that should be starting for a team, but that defense will still hold the Raiders down. I think Raiders get 23-17 24 points, and Broncos only put up 14. I'm going to say the Oakland defense comes up strong, puts up a good performance. And, yeah, I'm going to give Derek Carr the nod here this week.
Yeah, I'm going to go Broncos here, partially to be, a bit of a contrarian, but also because I've been burned before on the Broncos, man. Like, if I don't pick the Broncos, they're going to win. I can pick against them until the cow comes home. I understand that Trevor Siemian's probably not a real quarterback. But that doesn't matter.
No,
and then sometimes things are bigger than you, Greg, and the Broncos are bigger than me. So I'm picking the Denver Broncos.
Well, I mean, that's just plain simple understanding that they're bigger than you. But anyway,
I also think that the Raiders will struggle against a good defense.
Yeah, but
they don't top tier defense yet. I don't think. Let's look at their teams here. Saints, bad. Falcons of the early season, bad. Titans are the best defense they played, and the Titans actually have a pretty good defense, and they won that game, so good for them. Ravens, bad. Chargers, bad. Chiefs,
Chiefs are decent.
Chiefs have their moments when they lost. Jaguars, bad. Buccaneers, bad.
Yeah.
So, I think that, like, they played two decent defenses.
Yeah, but there's not many this year.
No elite defenses. So that just leads me to believe that that's going to be a tough challenge for them. And out of the two decent defenses that they played, they lost one of the games. So I think that the Broncos are going to win that one.
All right.
Monday Night Football, 8:30 p.m. Bills at Seahawks. In Seattle, the Seahawks are favored by 7 points. 4-4 Bills against the 4-2-1 Seahawks. Greg, what do you think about this game? Do you think that the Bills kind of go in to Seattle and shut up the 12th man, or do you think that the Seahawks kind of right the ship against Tyrod Taylor and LaShawn McCoy and the kind of suddenly explosive Bills offense?
Yeah, so this is a weird game just because Bills kind of need this win just to have any chance of thinking about the AFC East, because they're 3 losses behind the Pats, and if the Pats lose 3 games, I'd be amazed, but you never know. And the Seahawks need it because that division is just bad. So any win basically puts you ahead at any given point. But after seeing Russell Wilson dressed up as Obama and Sierra dressed up as Hillary Clinton and doing juju on that beat, which if you don't know, go look it up. It's a terrible dance. But after seeing that, I just can't go with the Seahawks. I can't pick them because of that.
And that's amazing because you and your wife are, like the definition of corny couple. And it's amazing that you haven't gravitated towards this more.
No. Okay. There's a difference between corny and just downright like sad. And that was sad. They were just like in their kitchen by themselves with like one friend videotaping this, and it was weird.
Gotcha.
I didn't like it. It's creepy. Only reason I'm going with the Bills because of that. Because to me, this game's a wash almost. Seattle hasn't lived up to what they should be, and the Bills have shown glimpses of greatness. So I'm going to go with the Bills in a tight one in Seattle.
I'm going to have to go with Seattle here. I just don't see anything from the Bills to make me think that they can beat, the Seattle defense. I realize that they didn't have a great showing last week. They were your least impressed. But, 25 points against the Saints is different than – giving up a lot of points against the Saints is different than giving a lot of points up against Tyrod Taylor.
I guess so.
So I'm going with the Seahawks here.
All right.
I think they're going to win this game.
All right.
Okay.
It's your call.
Anything else you want to call out in the NFL before we kind of switch over to the World Series?
No, more so just surprised that there wasn't that many moves made at the trade deadline. The Pats was the big one with trading Jamie Collins to the Browns for a 3rd-round pick that we all know now that 3rd-round pick's going to turn into the greatest of all-time player at who is drafted there. Just
of course,
because
naturally. That's
just how it works out for the Patriots. But yeah, it must suck to go and wake up at 7-1 and then all of a sudden next day you're 0-8. So interesting move by the Pats, I think. I don't know what your takes on it as an actual Pats fan. So I'd be interested to hear that.
My takes are them's the breaks. Pretty much.
No general feelings. I had 2 different Pats fans text me and go, well, what the hell is going on with the Jamie Collins trade?
I don't know. I mean, what do you want me to say? I just I don't think.
Do you trust in Bill? Do you trust the process?
Yeah, of course I do. Of course I do. I don't know. I've listened to so much talk radio the last couple of days, which is basically just like
you shouldn't.
Angry people in varying degrees of bad Boston accent yelling about how they don't understand.
Yeah.
And at this point, I just like there's nothing that I can add of value to the conversation. I don't know why he was traded. I think that he's a very good player.
I think the most ridiculous thing I heard was I saw an article from looking at Barstool Sports yesterday that it was if the Pats don't win the World Series, is Bill Belichick on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Because they've given Chandler Jones and Jamie Collins, two of their top defensive players, away because they don't want to pay him, even though they have the third most salary cap space going into next season.
I mean, I think there is a real criticism of Bill Belichick about constantly giving away these defensive players or these, these kind of in their prime players, right?
Yeah.
When they're about to get paid. I realize you wouldn't want to pay, Jamie Collins a ton of money and you want to get a pick for him. That's fine. But, I mean, I don't know. I think that kind of sacrifices a little something in this year's defense, even though the defense this year has not been that good.
No, but I think it's not that good because you're giving away top pieces every year and you're not willing to pay some of them. So, I mean,
maybe
Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator, can only do so much. So I don't think he deserves as much of the blame because he's doing a lot with what he's been given.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's move on to the World Series because it is getting really interesting in here, Greg.
It's exciting.
So when we last left you, I think it was what, 1-1?
Yeah, last week we were 1-1, and then we're still tied, but not in the way people thought it would happen.
The Indians promptly went up to 3-1. Won the first two games in Wrigley.
Yeah, just dominated.
Then the Cubbies came out, won a game, and they've won another game too in Cleveland. So tonight, Greg, we have Game 7 of the World Series, Cubs versus Indians. You can't ask for a better situation right now.
No, this is exciting. As a big baseball guy, I can't wait for tonight.
Yeah, and I think if you're Major League Baseball, you hit the jackpot here.
Oh, yeah. This is exactly what they wanted. Everything they could have hoped for. The only thing that would have made it better is if they went up against the NFL and crushed them tonight also.
Yeah, they've been beating the NFL in ratings on the days that they're both kind of on. And this is interesting stuff. So the games that the Indians have won have been these, shutout games, these 1-0 games where the Chicago Bats have not come alive. Last night, Danny Salazar was on the mound for the Cubs, and the Cubs broke open. And the Cubs broke it open.
Yeah, him and Tomlin especially had a rough outing.
And it looks like Chris Bryant is kind of coming alive here. Last couple games, the Cubs have really kind of just destroyed the ball. Plus, Russell had a grand slam last night, and that's always fun to see in the World Series.
Anthony Rizzo had a 2-run shot. He's been looking good the past few games and getting hot. So that middle of the order and end of the lineup all clicking, kind of it's a good formula for success.
Yeah, so tonight, I believe it is it Kluber?
Yeah, so Kluber's going to be pitching tonight again on short rest. So he's like the first pitcher, I think they said, since I want to say like the 70s or 80s to make it to a Game 7 that he will be pitching 3 times on short rest. Last time we saw a pitcher come into 3 different games that wasn't a reliever was Bumgarner, but he didn't even come in as a starter. 2 years ago, he came in for the final 2 innings only. So be interesting to see how he holds up early on. I mean, that bullpen is fresh. Andrew Miller is ready to go. He hasn't thrown a pitch in Game 5 or 6. So he can at least give you 2 or 3 innings because it's the last game of the year. Might as well throw till your arm falls off. And then Chicago has Hendricks going, and he's probably the Cy Young winner this year for the National League. So you have Arrieta last night, who was the Cy Young last year, Hendricks tonight, and
by the way, Arrieta looked really good.
Yeah, he was pretty good early on. Towards the end, when they took him out, he was starting to get wild, which good call by them to get him out. Didn't know if you need to go to Aroldis Chapman, but you did. It worked out, luckily for you. But, I mean, Chapman will be ready. Chapman will probably give you an inning or 2 at most. Lester's going to be in the bullpen, so he could come out even. I mean, it's all hands on deck. It's the last game of the year. It's winner take all. The droughts in the World Series are on the line 108 years and 168 years. So one of those is going to end tonight. I'm thinking it's going to be the Cubs. It's just my feeling. It's my gut. But who knows?
I'm also going to pick the Cubs here because I really kind of want. We've had a summer and subsequently a fall's worth of jokes about the Warriors blowing a 3-1 lead in the finals, and it would just make me laugh so hard if Cleveland then blew a 3-1 lead in the World Series.
Yeah, I may or may not already have a picture set up in case that happens for tonight that I can tweet out.
And I know that the jokes are going to be like all over the place, and like that's obvious joke to make, but I love that so much.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic quote. I've been watching. I listen to Mike and Mike most mornings, and the one guy, Mike Golick, is a huge Indians fan, huge Cleveland guy because he grew up there, and he's been super confident. And up until yesterday, he was just like, "Yeah, I'm a little nervous now. If Cubs win tonight," he goes, "I don't know what's going to happen in Game 7." He's like, that 3-1 hole joke with the Warriors is now creeping into my mind. So
yeah, it's interesting stuff.
But James, since we're not going to be able to basically express how we feel about this for a week, I think we should just give both versions of congrats to either team. So therefore, our fans.
Oh, you want to record a couple of them?
I think our fans deserve it. We won't even like splice them out and wait for it tonight and release it tomorrow. We're just going to do it. We'll just be like, if you're a Cubs fan, here's your take. If you're an Indians fan, here's your take.
Okay, let's start with the Cubs then.
All right. And we're also going to throw in some random predictions here, I think, also as well. So,
yeah,
all right, we'll start with the Cubs. So, wow, James, Cubs have won the World Series 108 years. Can't believe it. They won the game 4-2. Hendricks, amazing 7 innings pitched. Did not see Chapman coming in the 8th and John Lester coming into the 9th to close it out. I don't know about you.
And I did not see the live bear that they were bringing out on the field. I thought that was a really nice touch by the whole team. A little cold, and I'm a little upset about what the fans did to it in terms of the beer cans over there in Cleveland.
Yeah, you got a little angry.
But I love that. I love the idea that these guys. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something funny. You did not prepare me for this, Greg, and I have to kind of think of this on the fly right now. So, Cubs fans, it's Greg's fault that this isn't going well. It's Greg's fault.
You chose to do the Cubs first, but the Cubs won. So, good. Congrats to them, World Series champs.
Congrats to the World Series champs, Chicago Cubs.
The World Series MVP is obviously Aroldis Chapman.
No, you kidding? It's Bryant.
Okay, well, see, there you go. It's co-MVPs, people. Who saw that coming? NLCS it happened, and now it happened again in the World Series. So congrats, Cubs.
Now we can think of a bunch of think pieces about can they repeat.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, hot take on that Cubs one. Now for the Indians. You can start the Indians. I'll let you do that. I'll give you a few seconds.
Hey, guys, congratulations to the Cleveland Indians. First World Series since 1948. You won it 16-0. And I think that was a really kind of testament to your team playing small ball. You just bunted your way to 16-0, and I think that was really impressive. Francisco Lindor, clearly the MVP. He went 8 for 8, all bunts, and that's amazing.
It is amazing. That's impressive.
Kluber came in and threw eight perfect innings, and then they actually took him out and had Francisco Lindor pitch the 9th, and it was a joint perfect game. Unbelievable stuff in the World Series Game 7. You would never have expected it, Greg.
Yeah, I did not think when that happened, when Lindor came in, I was like, who's going to play shortstop? Were they going to put a pitcher in? They did. Rick Vaughn came in, a.k.a. Charlie Sheen's character from Major League, somehow signed for a one-day contract, played shortstop, made a nice grab at the end, to seal it up for them.
And I thought it was a weird move by Tito to, insert himself into the outfield as the right fielder. I thought that was kind of a risky move. His defense is not that great ever since he became a manager and started basically chewing, 5 packs of chew a game.
But
hey, it worked out. He made that diving catch, and I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, so good on them. Good on the Indians. Nice job. You almost blew it. You almost were the Warriors. You almost blew the 3-1, but you didn't. You didn't.
No, exactly.
Good job.
Pretty amazing. Okay, cool. Hey, I think that went well.
That did. I liked it. So there you go. If you're a Cubs fan, listen to the first one. Indians, listen to the second one.
Both. Okay, let's get into NBA quickly, and then you want to touch on the college football playoffs. There's not a lot I want to talk about in the NBA other than that Russell Westbrook is destroying and eating worlds.
Yes, he is. It's like he's God right now, the NBA, and everybody else there is just his followers.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff here. Russell Westbrook is leading the league in points right now. It's a super small sample size, I understand, but he's leading the league in points right now at 38.7 points a game. But he is also averaging a triple-double. He's got
first in assist with 12, I think.
No, he's second. And he's Harden's got 11.8. Russell's got 11.7. Basically, completely, right there. But then also in terms of rebounds too. What's he at right now? He's not super high up, I guess, but he's
he's sixth or something. He was around 11 something. I want to say I heard yesterday. 5 guys are beating him only in that were centers, unless things changed last night after the game.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He's tied for 6th with 12.3 rebounds. So he's just destroying worlds right now, man. And I think that's really, good for him. He also, did you see his Jordan commercial?
Yeah.
Now I do what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Fantastic.
That one. Really good commercial.
Do you think that he can actually so they were debating this over on the Ringer NBA podcast, and they're asking if Russell Westbrook can average a top 10 points per game season of all time. And to do that, he would need to score over 35 points a game.
Yeah, no, he's going to be taking enough shots to do that, but I can't see it happening every game putting up over 35. Obviously he can he'll have some off nights, he'll have some big nights, but in general, I just can't see that happening. There's no way somebody can keep that pace up. I'll be surprised if he can keep up the pace right now where he's rebounding, because he's not tall. He's energetic, but I assume that energy is going to go down at points in the season.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see what happens. The other person that I want to
come down for the next game.
The other person that I want to
next
highlight
game's against the Warriors, right?
Oh, for the Thunder?
Yeah, isn't it Thunder Warriors coming up?
Let's check out the schedule real quick.
I want to say yes, because I felt like they were talking about it yesterday. And everybody's anticipating, are they going to shake hands? Are they going to be friendly to each other? Is Katie going to acknowledge that Westbrook is a person?
I don't see it on. It's not tomorrow, at least. So
no, it's Thursday.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, hey, that's an exciting game. Thunder Warriors.
10:30 TNT. Be there.
Or be square.
Pregame.
The other one I want to highlight is the Houston Rockets. Defense be damned, man. These guys are a lot of fun to watch. I was reading a really good article about how D'Antoni and Harden are like the match made in heaven, because D'Antoni's never really cared about defense, and Harden
clearly doesn't care about defense.
Clearly doesn't care about defense. Yeah. He's averaging 32.3 points, 11.8 assists, and 7.3 rebounds. So, second most impressive player, maybe besides Russell Westbrook right now, is James Harden. The stats that he's putting up, I think, or close to it at least.
Yeah, no, he's definitely up there.
He's got 38% field goal percentage, 30% 3-point field goal percentage, 48% regular field goal percentage. I just think that he's a really impressive passer. That's the thing that I'm most impressed by.
He put up 15 last night against Cavs.
Exactly. And then what I think is interesting as well is that this offense that they're going to run, the quick pace, Harden passing it, slinging it around the court, that's also going to benefit a lot of the other guys. Like Eric Gordon, for example, is averaging 17 points right now. Trevor Ariza looks good all of a sudden.
Ryan Anderson will benefit from it.
Yeah, exactly. What's his face? Who's the guy that they have in the center there now?
Capella?
Yes. Clint Capella is looking like
Capella, whatever
a better version of Dwight Howard was last year. It's just a fun team. Even if they're not doing that well, and even if they're not playing a lot of defense, they're still a lot of fun to watch. I'm going to be honest with you.
They're good time. Early start time last night because of the World Series. Didn't seem to affect anybody. Harden with that 41-point game, 15 assists, 7 rebounds. He's looking good. He's looking like he could compete with Westbrook for potentially early on MVP nod.
Yeah, I agreed. And then finally, we can talk about the Warriors a little bit too, but I also just want to quickly highlight. You weren't expecting this, but Anthony Davis is putting up some real numbers as well.
Whoa,
37
points,
James. 37 points and 13 rebounds so far for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, no, he's been a beast
with 3 blocks per game.
The Browns doing work finally.
He's really impressive.
Yeah. The Browns doing work.
I want to put together like an internet petition. Get Anthony Davis on a real team. Like, what is he doing on the New Orleans Pelicans? They're
I don't
so
know,
bad.
man. I feel so bad for him at times, and it's just like, how do you have a team that has Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Kevin Durant, and then the Pelicans with Anthony Davis? Like, how's that happen?
I just want to throw this out there. They're 0-4 on the season. In the preseason, Greg, leading up to it, they were. I just want to get this right. In the preseason, they were 1-5, and they lost their last 5 games going into the season. So, if you want to count the preseason, they're on a 9-game losing streak already. And they've got someone who could be an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
But too bad he won't be because he's on the Pelicans.
Man, what are they doing? Like,
I don't know.
How do you go 0-4
for some pieces that can maybe develop into something? But
yeah, I think so. But anyway,
I don't know what they're gonna do with him, and I feel bad for him, and because he finally looks like that guy we all expected him to be. It's just if he can stay healthy, then he has a chance.
He's very impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about the Warriors quickly as well, if you'd like to.
Yeah, basically that's all I wanted to really talk about the Warriors was sorry, I just had ESPN on and they showed some guy from the Knicks taking a shot that was two-handed terrible.
Joe Noah.
Yeah, so bad. Sorry, got distracted. But the Warriors, all I wanted to talk about was they're being a little bitchy.
Yeah.
About everything. Like complaining that, people are being tough on them and being rough when they play and, being too physical. And it's coming from Draymond Green, which I find hysterical. And then they're also, all a little peeved at LeBron James having a Halloween decoration that said 3-1. Like, get over yourselves, guys. You did it yourselves. Stop being pansies. You're the villains now. Take it in stride. It happens to all the great teams that they become the villains. Happened to the Heat. People didn't like the Celtics that much outside of Boston. It's just what it is. Deal with it. Get tough. You're a small team. You got to grow some balls, basically. Because Steph, KD, you guys aren't known to be physical. You got to change that because everybody's going to be giving you their best shot. Nobody likes you. You haven't looked great. So, yeah, that's what I got to say about the Warriors.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. I think this is going to be an interesting season for them here because, they've been kind of villains, so far, and they haven't exactly played up to their potential. Their defense continues to be horrible.
Yeah.
So we'll see
High
what
possibility
happens.
they actually don't make it to the finals this year, I think, now, after these first few games.
I don't know about a high possibility. Let's not kind of jump our gun here a little bit here.
I'm going to jump it a little bit. If they face a physical team, I'm saying they don't make it.
Okay, well they're 3-1 and they're gonna kind of right the ship at one point. Like for example, last night against the Blazers, Klay Thompson went 0 for 7 from 3, and you're not gonna see that very often.
Yeah, I mean their 3-point this year terrible. I think they're like under 30% shooting from beyond the arc as a team.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I think they just got to right the ship a little bit, and I think that you're going to be. I think it's going to be just fine.
All right, I'll trust you.
Okay, let's just finish this out with college football.
Yeah, so college football playoff came out last night. Committee's first round of their rankings, and the biggest surprise was their top 4 picks. So it went Alabama undefeated, Clemson undefeated, Michigan undefeated, and then everybody expected University of Washington to be there because they're undefeated and have looked very impressive so far. But instead, Texas A&M comes in at 7-1 with their only loss coming to number 1 Alabama. Very shocking. Don't think that's what it should have been. They had Louisville at 7. Think they should have been top 6. Just very interesting first rankings coming out. James, I don't know if you have any thoughts about this. I know you're not a big college football guy, but still, were you surprised at all about their picks at least going in top 4, top 5?
I was not surprised with Bama, Michigan, or Clemson. Texas A&M, though, definitely was a bit of a curveball. I got to be honest with you. I think that the college football committee also shares my opinion on Washington, where it's like I don't really think that you guys belong. So
yeah, at least give them some respect. They're undefeated.
Sucks to be from UA, YU, or whatever you're gonna call it. Woo. But I was a little surprised at that as well, and I think that'll change.
Yeah, it'll probably change, but just one of those odd things where it first comes out, it kind of jars everybody and goes, didn't we have a committee to prevent things like this from happening?
Yeah, I think that you can reasonably expect Michigan and Alabama to be in there unless something drastic changes between now and
Clemson should
the end of
be
the season.
But Michigan and Alabama probably have one more big test. Alabama, LSU, Michigan, Ohio State, and then their SEC and Big Ten games. I think whoever Clemson faces from here on out, they'll just beat because they took down FSU. They already beat Louisville. So basically, nobody else is really in their way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, man. Very, very cool. College football is really ramping up, which is exciting.
Yeah, much more exciting than the NFL this year, I feel like.
I don't know about much more, but it's definitely a bit compelling the last couple of weeks.
But all right,
man. Is there anything else you want to cover here today before we kind of part ways?
I'm going to say something that I know is just going to bother you. Tiger Woods is coming back in December.
Yeah, who cares?
We'll see if that holds true.
Still don't care, Greg.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it. We're going to throw it out there, though. All right.
Okay.
So.
All right, Greg. Well, from all of us here at the Sports Stance, the people that got up early in the morning to make this happen, all the little guys out there, we really appreciate your dedication, your love of the game, your love of the amateur podcasting game, and this one is for you.
Yeah, all of you make this possible. If it wasn't for you, we couldn't do this.
Yeah,
blood, sweat, and tears go into this podcast, and it's not ours.
Yeah, exactly. No, I haven't sweat in years.
Yeah, no, we're just the pretty voices that they put in front of the mics.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well, then I will talk to you later, and thanks, guys, for listening.
All right, talk to you guys later.